Merci beaucoup, merci de donner la parole au Benelux. Ma présentation sera en anglaise. C'est pour ça qu'avec votre indulgence, je le ferai en anglais. Parce que je vois aussi que les écouteurs, j'ai regardé entre les écouteurs qui faisaient quoi encore. Le Benelux, on va passer maintenant d'une approche un peu plus particulière à quelque chose de beaucoup plus large. En tant que tel, nous sommes... Et c'est ma première question que je vais vous mettre pour que vous puissiez y réfléchir, c'est de se demander est-ce que le Benelux en tant que tel n'est qu'une... sorry, I'm switching over to English. Is the Benelux only a mere product of history? Are we just a conglomerate of things which happen just to be together? Are we just a concept? Are we just an abstract idea? Or is it more that we are an institutional reality which over time became something concrete to resolve concrete problems? 60 years ago makes us that we are the oldest institution on the European soil as a regional grouping. 1944, at the end of the Second World War in London, was signed a custom union between the three countries, precursor to the European communities of 1957, but en marge of that, the three countries decided that they should still continue with something Beneluxian, and that's why they created the Benelux Economic Union in 1958. Interesting to see is that it is, again, I was saying of the unique character of Benelux, that it is the only institution which is recognized as such in the European treaties. It is now Article 350, which states that if the objectives of the Benelux Union are not met by those of the European Union, we can go further. It is unique as such, when we say we can continue this, which made it that by 1985, we were able to go further than the Union and to create, well, at that time still the communities, and to create the Schengen agreements. Schengen is a village in Luxembourg, but still it was that the free movement of persons were to be granted, and everyone knows now what of the Schengen agreements became. By 2008, it was becoming clear that the original Benelux Treaty, made for 50 years, was due to be continued. And that's why we have now a new treaty. It is difficult, in a nutshell, to tell you what it is. Still, I try to do it in a 3-2-1 go. As such, we say we have three themes which we take care of. The core business, economics. The second one, sustainable development and justice and home affairs, coming out of the Schengen treaties. We have two objectives, very clearly, which is the one is to enlarge the cross-border cooperation. I'll come back to that. And the second one is to deepen the whole of the cooperation as a laboratory, as a precursor, as a model for the European Union. I'll come back with examples so that you understand afterwards why I'm so much stressing this. But we found out that it is necessary, of the utmost importance, to have a political guidance. And that's why we do that with, and you see back afterwards a little bit, with a multi-annual common work plan, which are the priorities, and those priorities each year are put into an annual plan. I skipped the last thing to be quick, because I come back to it, but the institution, and to show you that we are an international organization and that we work on nearly an intergovernmental way of working, is that, like the good old Montesquieu told us, that we should have three branches. Those three branches are clearly the Parliament, the Court of Justice on the two sides, legislative and the judicial, and in the middle the executive, and the executive branch is on the top of that the General Secretariat, which I represent as such, being one of the Deputy Secretary General, but as such we have no, there are three, there have to be a Belgian, a Luxembourg and a Dutch member of the General Secretariat as a lead person of that, so that the three of us can take decisions together for our three countries. We have as well, on the other side, an Office of Intellectual Property, which is a Benelux get together as such. As stated there, and I'll be quick, it's complementary, it's a different legal basis. I'm happy to answer any question on it if it comes to it as such. But it shows you that in the diversity of all our institutions, it is a lot what we do. Now, I was saying about the cross-border cooperation. I insist on it. Why? Because it is one of the fundamentals of the new treaty of 2008, which came into effect in 2012, was to say, you've been introvert as such. The Benelux has worked for 50 years inside its own borders in trying to figure out the problems which we had in between us. And that's why my first question, if you remember, in saying, are we a mere product of history, was in fact to say, is all the little problems which we have inside our borders, was that the only thing why we were together, or was it another objective? The other objective was to say, well, let's go from being introvert to trying to be extrovert. So to work not only for 3 countries, but to incorporate France and Germany on the other side. And so to make it that, let's say, the mini Europe, which Benelux has sometimes been called, is effectively going beyond the borders of the 3 countries. Yes, I'm trying to be too quick, I know, because there's so much to say. Anyway, which made it that over the year 2013, we took contact with a hell of a lot of institutions. Obviously, Council of Europe, but that's more the legal part, but as well the France, Germany. We have a political agreement with the Rhineland, with North Rhine-Westphalia, and we're trying to have one now with Rhineland-Palatinate. Just to show that we can have with our neighbors, we can have good institutions and good work together. Now I'm coming to what we work on specifically. The priorities which we have are those which we ask our 3 countries in saying what for the next 3 years could be the topics which the 3 countries together want to work on. So we did it by fact or by means of a green book which we gave to the 3 countries and to all our stakeholders in asking, are those the topics which you want to work on? Interestingly enough, we were in times of crisis, and so you have a lead which comes out, which is saying, well, we want to work on growth, innovation, and security. But that 7 priorities came out. Those 7 priorities you can read go from the energy sector to mobility, to economy, to security, to social cohesion, environment, and fraud prevention. They are large. They're so large that with those 7 priorities this year, we have worked out that we have about 90 projects which we want to implement as such. I will not go into all of them. I choose rapidly 3 projects which might be interesting for you. As an example, the police cooperation. The police cooperation is the eldest one which we have as such, although it has never been in our treaties. By 1962, we already have a treaty on a mutual legal assistance which contains traces of police cooperation. But it was very timid. So by 1996, our ministers sat together in Landingen, which is a nice little castle in Luxembourg, and said, well, we need to do something. And so they decided to have a memorandum. It's a memorandum of understanding. It's one of the legal forms which I'm going to deal with, but it was a memorandum which stated we should be working together in police matters, in justice matters, in immigration. It took some time to take this over. So by 2004, a proper treaty was created on cross-border police interventions, which incorporated the security bits, crisis and management, and anti-drugs policies. This was still not enough, because that is only a mere kind of get-together in saying this is a treaty, is a form working together. So what did we do? We continued on action plans in saying we want an action plan which is timely, exact on what to do and what it exactly can bring about as such. We are now at the 3rd action plan for Zendingen, which is covering the periods 2013 to 16. It has 2 major fields of action, which is police and security and crisis management on the other side. It is strongly result-oriented. There are 16 precise objectives. I'll come back to them afterwards very quickly. There is ministerial guidance, 2 minutes. Ministerial guidance, there is strategic consultation, and there are working groups a lot. There are roughly makes about 40% of the work of what the Benelux is doing for the moment. It's concentrated on our police and security bit. The innovative feature is that is the plus of the Benelux, is to say, well, we can have in Europe, we can have as well agreements, but here it is to go much, much further in terms of pursuit, observe, apprehend persons, for instance, in that context, in saying police can cross over the borders and can do it. The main thing is to say there are common actions to be done. And here you see the whole idea of common what you can do. The interesting thing is to say, if I'm talking of common exercises, it's not just to do common exercises. It's to say, let's find out what the problem is of the common exercises, let's work on it, let's find solutions, and on the basis of that solutions, let's propose it to the government or to regional states to implement it. And there are future perspectives which always continue as we can do. The other example which I was doing in 1.5 seconds, if you allow me, is the transport and mobility of work. It is not yet a thing which we have as an example. It is one which, and before I forgot to say it, but the next presidency is Dutch of the Benelux, which is a Dutch priority in saying what shall we do? We need this mobility of work on a transnational level. Let's not do it just in abstracto, let's try to find something in concreto. So 3 pillars. The first one is to say we need a common portal to help the person to know what on the other side of the border he can do in terms of social security, in terms of work, in terms of everything which he needs to live. The second is the mutual recognition of academic degrees and professional qualifications. It is not yet in Europe as so far as that it would work. And the third one is obviously the security side, which is the prevention of fraud. Now, this one here you know by heart, and that's why I'm going to just stop on that and saying the Benelux approach is not to say we not only have a legal approach to something, we need to have a practical approach, and that is what we call the almanac. And the almanac is a cluster of everything which you would need if you work in the Benelux area to know who is doing what. The rest I'm going to stop, because that you can read afterwards as I'm going to finish.